Hello everyone. In today's video we will learn the expenditure method. We will see how we can calculate using the expenditures of the people living in a country. Okay. So earlier we have done value added method and income method. Now this is the last method through which we can calculate national income. Okay, and as in previous videos I have told that we cannot directly calculate, but first we have to calculate GVA, GDP or NDP. Then we have to convert that GDP into an NPFC in order to find the national income. So in this video also, in this method also, we will calculate first GDP MP, okay, by adding up the various aggregates, and then we will convert that GDP MP into NNPFC. Okay, so first let us see the definition of the theory here. National income is estimated in terms of expenditure on purchase of final goods and services. So those expenditure which are made on the purchase of final goods and services, not intermediate goods, only final goods. Okay, so those expenditures are added, summed up, and then we find the national income. Okay, so for finding the GDP MP here, first what are the expenditures we have to take? We have to see what are the expenditures. Okay, so first is private final consumption expenditure. Okay, means the expenditure made by the citizens, the private persons. Okay, this one, private final consumption expenditure, means the citizens of the country making expenditure on various goods, on daily needs. Okay, like purchasing final goods or services, any like bread, biscuit, milk. Okay, these are the final consumptions, final expenditure, okay, for the household. Okay, so these expenditure are added, so it is denoted by C, capital C. This, the shortcut, the symbol for private final consumption expenditure is C, capital C. Okay, so this C, or the private final consumption expenditure, is the expenditure incurred by the households, the persons, for personal consumption, for household purpose, like food items, like clothing items, these. So these expenditure will be added in this section, in this aggregate, will be counted in this aggregate, private final consumption expenditure. Okay, now the second thing is government final consumption expenditure. Okay, now like the citizens, the household of a country have made expenditure. Now the government will also made expenditure. Okay, so that expenditure will be added here, and it is called government final consumption expenditure, and it is denoted by capital G. It is denoted by capital G. So what are the expenditure which government made? Okay, like defense, for purchasing defense equipments, for maintaining law and order, for education, for health, like these. So these expenditure will be added in this section, in government expenditure. Okay, now the households have made expenditure, government have made expenditure. Now what is the next thing? The businessman. Okay, now the businessman, a company making expenditure. So how we will add that expenditure? By the name of gross domestic capital formation. Gross domestic capital formation, or it is also called investment. It is also called investment, and it is denoted by capital I. Okay, remember this I is denoted for investment, and if we say income, so income is denoted by capital Y. Okay, so I has taken by investment and Y is taken by income. So if you want to denote income, you have to write capital Y, and if you have to denote investment, then you have to write I. So this gross domestic capital formation is also called investment. Okay, so now this investment is broken into two parts. First is gross fixed capital, okay, and another is inventory investment. So whenever a businessman makes investment, he makes in two parts. First, for purchasing fixed assets, okay, like machinery, land, building, etc., fixed assets. So the investment made in fixed assets is called gross fixed capital formation. Okay, like remember the word here it is written fixed. Okay, so it means whenever there is written fixed capital, it means investment is made on fixed assets. Okay, and another part is inventory, in stock, in raw materials. Okay, so the investment made by a businessman is made in two parts. First is purchasing of fixed assets like machinery, building, land, etc., and second is purchasing of raw materials, which is also called inventory. Okay, so this investment will be broken into two parts: fixed capital and inventory investment. And instead of inventory investment, other word, there is one another word which is given: closing and opening stock. Earlier in value added method, we have seen the closing stock and opening stock, so it is the same thing. Okay, so if you have to find the inventory investment, so what you will do, if directly this inventory word is not given, so you have to find the closing and opening stock. Okay, if in your exam this inventory investment is not given, then you have to search for closing and opening stock, then you have to minus. Okay, or we can also say it is called change in stock. In value added method we saw this change in stock, and what was the formula of change in stock? Closing minus opening stock. So this inventory investment is also called change in stock, and for change in stock you have to find closing minus opening if directly it is not given. If change in stock is directly given, then you have to take those value only. Okay, you don't have to search for closing and opening. If not, then you have to find the closing stock and opening stock. So by adding these two, fixed capital and inventory, you will get the gross domestic capital formation. Okay, remember there many times the confusion arises here, that domestic capital formation and domestic fixed capital formation. Okay, so you have to see whether fixed is written or not. If fixed word is written, then you have to search for the inventory investment or change in stock. If fixed word is not written here, then it means this domestic capital formation is given, or the value of investment is given in your exam. Okay, so you have to be careful, just you have to find the fixed word. If fixed word is given, then you have to find the closing change in stock and add these two, and by adding you will get this gross domestic capital formation, or instead of this you can also get domestic capital formation. Okay, so and instead of and apart from this domestic capital formation, there might be a word investment also, as I said earlier. So you don't have to get confused here. There are various names of a particular aggregate. Okay, there are 2-3 names of a particular aggregate, so don't get confused here. So instead of gross domestic capital formation, there might be given investment. Okay, instead of inventory investment, there might be given change in stock, or instead of change in stock, there might be given closing stock and opening stock. So don't get confused here. Okay, now after adding this gross domestic capital formation, it is denoted, this thing is denoted by I. Okay, and after getting this, the last thing which we have to do, net exports. Okay, which what we have to add? We have to add net exports. So earlier we saw here the expenditure made by citizens or the households, expenditure made by the government, expenditure made by the businessman. Now what is left? The trade, external trade with the rest of the world is left. Okay, we make expenditure with rest of the world, we purchase, we import materials from USA, China, or any other place. So we have to add that also na. So that is added by the name net exports. Okay, and how you will calculate net export? Export minus import. Okay, if directly net exports is not given, so you have to find export, you have to find import and subtract. And how you will subtract? Export minus import. Okay, don't do import minus import, it will be wrong. Okay, so these are the 4 things which you have to add. Okay, now one more thing here, there is a simple catch here. If there is a word given net imports, if there is a word given net imports, so what you will do in that case? You just have to put a negative sign. You just have to put a negative sign in place of, so you have to just put a negative sign. Suppose for example the requirement is net export, okay, but in question there is given net import and the value of net import is rupees 10. Okay, the value of net import is rupees 10, but you have to convert that net import into net export because the requirement is of net export. So what you will do, you will put a minus sign there of before rupees 10. So net import was 10 and you have to convert into net export. What you will do, you will put a minus sign. Okay, so this minus 10 will become net exports. Okay, so but you have to make sure of this, that you have to fulfill the requirement here. Okay, and one more thing here, if by chance here it is written that gross domestic capital formation. Okay, so you have to find the gross only, you have to put the gross value. Okay, instead of gross value, sometimes what they do, they give you net value, net domestic capital formation. Instead of gross domestic, they give net domestic capital formation. So what you will do in this case, you will convert net into gross. Okay, you will convert net into gross. And how you will convert, you already know. Okay, you if you don't know, see my previous videos, you will get to know that. So if net domestic capital formation is given, then you have to find the net value, you have to find the gross value, you have to convert net into gross, then only you will add. Okay, don't add before without converting it, because the requirement is of gross. Okay, so just be careful of these small things. So after finding these 4 values, you have to add this, and what you will get, you will get the GDP MP. And after getting GDP, you already know that how you will convert it into NNP FC. Okay, to find the national income. So this is the small method, very direct method. This income method and expenditure method are very basic, very easy. So in exams, in CBSE especially, value added method is asked most of the time. Okay, so but all the 3 methods are important. You cannot skip the expenditure method or income method. You have to practice all the 3 methods, but most of the time the trend is of asking the value added method. So after adding these 4, you will get GDP MP, and you have to convert that GDP into NNP FC or whatever the aggregate you have been asked to convert. Okay, so this was the our third method of calculating the national income. Okay, and so this is the thing here. For first you will change the how you will convert GDP-MP into NNP-FC here, like this way. First you will convert gross into net by minus subtracting depreciation. Then how you will convert MP into FC? By subtracting NIT. Then how you will convert domestic into gross? By adding NFIA. So you have to remember these steps, you have to practice these steps. Okay, so I have to, if you don't know, I have told in my earlier videos, previous videos, you can see the conversion part here. Okay, and you will get to know how to convert these aggregates. Okay, so that was all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.